Um, and so I want to just say a few things about this loving kindness practice, and then we'll practice. So, loving kindness um, is often misunderstood as a feeling. And I don't think it is best understood that way. I think it's okay. And in the Vipassana tradition, it begins with simply the idea that when a thought of greed, a thought of hatred, or a thought of ignorance or confusion arises, in the moment that we recognize it, we offer some gentle attender. Maybe the best we could hope for in a moment would be non judgmental um, offering so that we don't propagate the, and the Buddha actually uses the word evil. I don't know if I would, but you get the idea. We could say certainly non beneficial, and then we might even go to unskillful. And instead of propagating that, we could recognize arising harm. We could make a choice in the recognition then to stop the harm. And in all suttas, it says the best antidote to aggression is loving kindness, whether that be towards yourself or towards another. And so I'm just going to stop there and see if that makes some kind of sense. Uh, does that feel useful or workable? At the minimum, understandable that in any moment of harm, the best we could do is abstain, it says in the suttas, from harm and do something else. And that something else, by its very aspiration, would be loving kindness. Even if it was, I can do nothing right now. The nothing by itself would be an act of kindness, wouldn't it? We wouldn't propagate then harm to ourselves, harm to our own neurocircuitry. I don't think the Buddha said that, but kind of he did. Um, right. And then, um, if we could, from the very stopping of the harm, by not propagating the thought of greed, the thought of hatred, the thought of ill will, or the confused thought, distracted thought, uh, cherishing thought, we would already be enacting loving kindness. And I take a lot of encouragement in my own practice with that because I have not always been able to then magically turn around and offer myself uh, kindness. In the Vipassana tradition, what it says is we can always stop the harm, it matters. And then from the very stopping, we could actually, over time, with practice and training, invite the good. Now, remember, the pause itself is the good. And then the additional good might be something like, anybody have any ideas? What else could we do then once we could stop, recognize, and then stop the harm, which I mean simply as not propagating greed, hatred, or confusion? What could you then do once you could stop? Any ideas? You want to write it in chat or come on and say it?
Just listen.
Listen to,
The silence.
yeah, just rest in silence would be one option. What else could you do? Jean, I saw you raise
I
your.
like just offer a phrase, may I, whatever it is. Or
Yep,
that phrase you taught us a month or two ago about, can me seeing this help everybody that sees this,
that's right.
bless us all or something.
Yeah, or feels this, or is confused with this, or we could even go so far as to say is angry like this, um, shut down like this, and that by itself, the very calling it by name we know would be useful. That stops it. We could recognize that not only ourselves, this small idea about me or I knows this, but that others know this too. And in fact, what we could then say in the largest heart is that all beings just like me know this too. And by the way, you didn't have to get all saccharine, did you? You didn't have to cultivate some false sweetness or sucor. You could literally just remember the truth. And in the very remembering already, uh, some distance from the possibilities of uh, propagating harm or then sustaining harm. And there's something called uh, the four, I call them efforts, but I don't think that's the word um, as it relates to harmful and beneficial thoughts. So let me begin by saying the first act of loving kindness is one's mindfulness. Does that make sense? The very first act of loving kindness is mindfulness or mindful awareness itself. Is there anybody who that doesn't make sense for? Yeah, right? And so just from our mindfulness, we are already transformed because what we can see, we now have some greater capacity, don't we? To be with, to influence, to make choice about uh, whether to continue or to, I think the word that they use might be not eradicate, but not develop. And so these four efforts, and I'll think of the other word in a moment, say before a harmful thought arises, uh, you can continue on this mindfulness path to sustain non harm. That would be one good action or effort. We could actually decide there is no harming thought here, yay, let me propagate this non harming path. That would be one, and that would be understood as a great effort. The second one would be if I begin to see that a harmful or unskillful thought is arising, I could choose to uh, not propagate it. I don't know if stop is probably the right word, but not further it, right? Not sustain or grow it. I could recognize its uh, no benefit, and I could make a choice not to continue it, and that would be skillful. Could everybody see the skill in that? Recognizing a distraction um, that will only lead to further greed, judgment, hatred, or ill will would be skillful. Then it says if there is a thought arising that turns out not to be too beneficial, we could actually then choose to stop and employ another thought. Not this thought, but maybe then another thought could be better. I'm going to work with you today in the practice on that. And then it says if you see a good thought arising, we might develop it. We might feel its benefit. And in the feeling of its good benefit and the recognition of its freedom for our own hearts and minds, we might decide to propagate it or have other thoughts or similar thoughts, or, says the neuroscience, the same thought. You could just repeat it over and over and over. And in fact, I think that might be one of the easier. Rather than trying to think of some other great thought, which I think we can get knotted around, we could simply recognize a beneficial thought and then work to not develop it. And then we could work to sustain it with the repetitions, could we? And these are the four great efforts, and they are very specific to thoughts, but I think we could employ them, couldn't we then, to anything? Behavior, uh, the word, our words, like recognizing these words are not working, they are not of benefit, they are not contributing to the reduction of sorrow or sadness, they are actually by accident propagating. And so I will not continue this, even, it says, if I believe it's true, that it is not the way. I had, as some of you know, a little interaction with my cousins regarding my uncle who is now in need of some additional care due to dementia, and I believe likely a stroke. And I saw very quickly that in spite of my genuine heart's aspiration not to direct, not to advise, not to place blame, not to other in any way, they experienced, I believe, out of their own shame, their own guilt, their own confusion, uh, me doing that to them. I'm a little older, so I think there's probably already some sense that you think you got it going on and you think we don't got it going on. Um, and so I wrote something, and if you read it, you'd go, oh, that looks pretty loving. Um, I'm here to help you. I want to be of service. I love your dad like my own father. It's all true. And I'm here to help. And as everyone knows, the message back was, no, thank you. We've got this. I wrote back, good, for now. For now, good. And if in the future things become difficult or complicated, please know that you can call on me. I then heard from another cousin who was in that thing. They are so pissed at you. And I was so comfortable with it. Why? Because my heart aspiration was clear. I used the best language I could cultivate to not cause harm. And yet, there it was. And so I made a decision then to simply bow to their path, which is okay. I'm understanding for now. And just know, not only now, but later. If needed, I will be there. And stopped. I stopped. There would be no other words right now, would there? That they're really going to be able to particularly hear or benefit from me at this moment. It doesn't mean, though, that I can't continue to offer words, but the words I now offer will be during this meditation, won't they? In loving kindness phrases. Those will be the words. And they, right? I'm not even going to send them in text to them because they'll go, fuck you. There you go again, you little righteous Buddhist priestess person that you think you are. And so I already know there is no languaging, but it doesn't mean that the care stops. It doesn't mean that my interest in them and my uncle stops. It doesn't mean that there's not more I can do, but it must begin here, doesn't it? With me actually saying, may they be well, may they be free from shame or guilt or hatred. and may they recognize that they too are on this shared human path, which none of us walks alone. Right? And then maybe, and then maybe not. Right? Now, what's amazing is because of the loving kindness that I can generate, I, however it goes, right, is now fine. It doesn't mean I won't do something. It means I won't do something with them because that's not safe or comfortable or right. We could even say right practice for them right now. But that doesn't mean that we cannot continue to generate kindness and possibility. And so we will. And then I'm going to use one other short example, and then we're going to see if we can't practice this together. Slightly different way, I think, than what we're familiar with in the Vipassana tradition. Libby had her surgery yesterday. It went very well. She is well. Thank you all for your care regarding her. She has to do some things, I guess, that she can't yet do based on general anesthesia. And I think if she can't do them, she gets to stay there a little longer. So she's really working hard on a fart. As I understood it, this is required. It's not going that well so far. And because of a catheter, Carrie would understand this better. There's not a lot of moving. And with that not moving, things, I think, become more difficult or complicated. But Libby, very different than my cousins, is someone who can receive. And not only can receive, I might even say then needs to receive because of her own insecurities or challenges. And so I can not only offer her loving kindness in my formal practice. I just recently told her before she went into surgery, I'm going to tell you I love you 3 times a day. And she went, oh, God. And Dr. Head, no, look at me. I'm going to tell you I love you 3 times a day. It might all be at once. It might be in the morning, the afternoon, or the evening, but I'm going to do it. If I can't do it because I'm in retreat, I'm going to write it because I think this can be of benefit. And even with her discomfort, right? You don't need to do that. That's silly. I'm very clear. I'm very clear. And so that can happen, will happen. And aren't these then both from the place of the heart of loving kindness? They are. They're not the same actions, are they? In one, I am completely letting go. And in the other, I am completely going in, even with discomfort, right? And that we can, with discernment, wisdom, and our own good hearts, I believe consistently, really find the right path in a way that can be of benefit. But I don't think we can do that if we can't do it for ourselves. If we can't do it, and by that I mean if we can't recognize our own folly, our own humanness, our own insecurities, our own shame or guilt, our own pornographic or murderous thoughts. And remember, thoughts are just thoughts. If we can't recognize them with our mindfulness practice, we cannot then employ acts of kindness, acts of gentleness. We cannot be tender, we cannot be friendly, and consequently, we will continue, won't we, to cause harm. And so we sit like this, which we'll do now, because without that awareness, mindfulness, we do not have the opportunity or have not created sufficient space and room to see it, and then without judgment, without condemnation, without self loathing, without self identifying, without making it me, mine, making it permanent, making it fixed, or doing that to another. It's all in the same unskillfulness. We cannot free ourselves, can we? If we can't recognize through our mindfulness our own habits. Uh, and then I could say, can't we remember that all those habits are simply um, a reaction to our own fear, our own fear. And the fear primarily, I think, of pain. I don't want it. And so I'd rather just shut this out, which is very different than making a choice to not propagate. I'm going to look at chat just to make sure. Use Tonglen to take in the pain of others. Yes, this can be a beautiful offering. And Greg, because you've practiced a long time and many of us have, that's available. But I don't think we can start there because usually the truth of the trajectory is we are so habituated away from pain that the first work is to first recognize with our mindfulness that it is arising as fear, judgment, aggression, greed, aversion, whatever's coming, and then begin to cultivate an essential friendliness with it. I don't know if we can take more in to begin. It's advanced. And yes, there are many in our Sangha, and Greg is one of them, who is skillful and can now do that. But I think as we begin, if you can, how beautiful. But I wouldn't take it on if you have not had a significant or sufficient practice with kindness either. I shut down away from everyone when I get too overwhelmed. That may be skillful, Robin. The shutdown probably isn't. That sounds reactive. But the decision to stop, to pause, to create space and room, to offer that to oneself with friendliness would be, I think, a radical act of love. Just as not yet, I'm not whole. I'm not sufficiently resourced yet. Okay. Any other questions before we practice? I think we're ready. I am in a place where there is no plug, and so I think I'm good for battery. But if for some reason I just magically disappear um, in a poof, just poof, where'd she go? That's what happened. I think we're good so far. And so let's sit.
Here's to poofing.
Carrie, could you say that again?
I said, here's to poofing away.
Here's to poofing. All our varieties of poofing. We got Livy who needs a poof. I might be magically poofing. This might be our day for poofs. and may they, you know,
May they be mindful. May they be mindful.
Yes, when they're about benefit. This poof, we'll see how it goes. And so we're going to establish ourselves mindfully to begin. And that means to just bring awareness to the posture of the body and finding something that feels supportive, easeful, and awakened. Not slouching, not falling over, get oneself and one's body in some balance. The body should feel, even with its inner challenges, you know, I have an Achilles issue and a thing issue and another thing, like we all do. And to the extent that that can be supported. And then to generate appropriate and wholesome motivation for the practice, we're going to call to mind one person for whom we're going to dedicate this practice this morning. Maybe someone or yourself who could benefit from some gentleness or tenderness, some friendliness, some kindness. And may this practice be of benefit to all beings everywhere without exception, omitting none. And one of the things we've been practicing here, a little more consistent with the Mahayana tradition, is not to grab the breath, but see if we can breathe the breath in open space. It's a little bit of holding the both, the sense of spaciousness in, around, as well as the breath moving in and out of that open space. We're not limiting the breath to the sense of this limited body. And of course, what we know is the breath is not limited to the body, comes from beyond and returns into boundless space. So we're breathing a spacious, effortless, easeful, abiding, a breath you can breathe not only now, but now. And with each out breath in particular, we release the idea of the breather just a little bit more. And even in the instruction, you'll begin to notice that there are thoughts. And we would count as a thought even things like sound objects. Now remember, this isn't a problem. It is not the goal of our practice not to hear. It is simply an awareness that there is a larger scape that can include sounds while attending with 51% of our attention the breath as well. Remember, we're not shutting down a thought. By time you recognize it, it has already been thought. We don't try to unhear a sound. And beyond that, we actually do not propagate harm by then judging, condemning, criticizing ourselves. We smile at the awareness that we are mindful, attentive, awake, present. And then we can add with that mindfulness, friendliness, and that's the smile. Resting in the spacious breath, abiding all arisings, with primary attention still in awareness of this body, breathing, but breathing in spaciousness beyond this limited sense of the body. And rather than reject objects or thoughts, become aggressive towards them either by pushing them away or cleaving them to you, we're going to simply practice letting those objects of mind come and go with gentle friendliness. And some people might call that inclusion, open heartedness, and opening. But maybe a word we could use is greet or welcome the objects arising, and then staying in recognition in our impermanence practice, letting them come and watching as they go. Stabilizing the mind with a consistent and single object called the breath breathed in open space, and then recognizing that in that open space there are other objects arising and passing, and we simply let those come and go at the beginning of our friendliness. We don't reject them, we don't cling. And then we're going to begin to cultivate this open-heartedness. When you notice an object, you can greet or welcome the object simply with a smile, with some imagery of embracing, maybe with a phrase, welcome, maybe with a felt sense of the heart opening, physical felt sense. We can also breathe towards and in the object, another very friendly, gentle, and tender practice. We can recognize the object, touch into contact, breathe it in, let it be, let it in, let it be, and then let it go or dissolve as it will. John Kabat-Zinn, in his loving kindness practice, would say, I see you, to the thought, to the sound. And so we're beginning by working with neutral objects as they are arising on the spot. There's a garbage truck, for example, behind me. It harkens me back to old days on 2nd Street. And so that has a very pleasant memory for me. And so I can easily say welcome, greetings, and create space and room for this reality too. Breathing it in, letting it be, and then staying mindful, attentive, and aware as it fades, changes, and goes. Radical act of kindness. And not only might you notice sounds, which are lovely objects to begin with, you then may notice thoughts about the sounds. And we can be friendly with ourselves in this way as well. Noting sound, breathing it in, letting it be, letting it go. And then maybe a thought about the sound. I'm noticing a person who's working here next to me, tiling a bathroom, and there are sounds of the work, sounds of the worker. He's enjoyably whistling. Can I embrace it, open? And maybe then I could even offer a phrase of kindness. May you be well. Right there to that whistling worker. May you have ease. May you be free from distress. On the spot, loving kindness. we continue to be mindful and present, softening and opening the body, resting the mind in that spacious awareness, knowing that you're breathing by the metronome of the breath. And I just touched into my breath as an example, noticing my own body. May this body be well. Propagating the heart of goodwill, of friendliness, and offering the blessing of that open heart on the spot. We expand the heart to include whatever object is arising. And then we cultivate that heart by our willingness to be with, to breathe in, and to stay with that particular object as it's coming and going. And then we lovingly also let it go. And this is a radical act of love. We can expand the heart with imagery, imagining the embrace, visualizing it, maybe a warm white light from your heart to the object or the person, phrases, and the felt sense. And as we are expanding the heart, we want to experience it. And so then whatever the visualization, the phrasing, whatever you're doing to propagate this good and open heart, we drop beneath the words for that felt sense, resting in the experience of kindness, of friendliness, of ease, of well-being itself. Not only are you making an offer, you too are better. And so we look for the evidence, dropping beneath the method for the experience itself. Breathing in and out from your own heart. Feeling the effect of this loving kindness practice, not only for the other, not only for the objects, but for you yourself. You too are benefiting. And then we might call a special being to mind. It might be a person, it might be a pet, it might be a plant. Picturing it in your mind's eye. Recognizing the truth of suffering. And we're not focusing on the suffering, we're focusing on the wish of goodwill. May you be happy. May you have ease. May you be free from distress. We can breathe it, we can visualize it, we can speak it. But most importantly, can we open our hearts and feel that opening? Feel the effect of the method. And then we let the method go. Resting in that open heart. Breathing into it and out from it. We might then be able to cultivate over time the boundless reality of loving kindness. That there is no object, there is no space, there are no beings that we cannot extend this wish for well-being. We can offer it in all directions, throughout all time, to all beings, all things. Like a little metta machine or a fine mist touching everything, including you. May we all have happiness and the causes for happiness. May we all be free from suffering and the causes of suffering. May we rejoice and be grateful for the gift of this precious human life and use it to benefit all beings. May we rest and dwell in the vast open arms of equanimity, free from all affliction. Feel the effects. And then we simply rest back in that open heart that is now boundless, vast, available in all directions. Breathing into it and sending out that kindness, that friendliness, that love. Sometimes to a specific object or other, and sometimes just into the vast open space. Sometimes maybe in a direction, front or back, left or right. Sometimes to whatever is arising this moment. May we all find peace. May we be an instrument of that peace. And may it be alive and in evidence in our own hearts and in this day. Through our thoughts, words, and deeds. And may we offer the merits of this practice to that special one, offering all benefit, all blessing, all goodness from this practice to them, so that they too may be happy. So that they too may be free from sorrow. So that they may know joy and equanimity. And may it be so this very day. And may this practice continue. So be it. Could you guys hear the bell? Do you have any questions about
Yes.
this practice? Thank you, Tanya. Any questions, comments about this practice? Could you sense the benefit?
It's beautiful. Like my heart relaxed.
Yes. Not very demanding. Right. Yes, it is so important. I agree. And we're practicing these practices all week. This is what we will be doing yesterday, today, throughout Saturday. And for those of you who will be able to join, one of the things that's so clear to me is how loving kindness by itself propagates ease and a sense of well-being, and it doesn't mean that things aren't hard, right? It just means what I can offer is being offered, even when it's hard, and maybe particularly when it's hard, when there's really not too much else that we can and sometimes should do. We can do this. I look forward to seeing you. For those of you who will be able to make it, I know, of course, that those who are some distance can't do that. Please let Carrie know. I will put her email. Not everybody can figure out the sign up. I guess it's a little weird at times for some of us. So I'm putting her email here. Let her know that you'd like to join. We have commuter day from 9 to 5, and we'd love to have you anytime. So without questions, I think we're probably around 8 o'clock-ish. Does that seem right? Somewhere? I don't think I have my watch.
That's correct. It's 8 o'clock.
About that. Good. Okay. This sounds like feels like good timing. The sun's just now starting to fully bloom right there in my eyes. Lovely. Um, Offering that blessing to the sun as well. And so the informal practice is to make contact with whatever you're making contact with and offer that visual, those phrases, or that felt sense of kindness, of love, of friendliness, of open heartedness to whatever you're greeting, whatever you're in contact with. And if you can't do that because of a moment of being caught, offer it to yourself. Offer it to yourself because you might need it most in that moment. Because that means if you're knotted, you're jangled, that you're in pain and fear as well. And see if you can't then offer some kind of friendliness on the spot to yourself. I've got here practice at my nephew's wedding. Yes, big family event. Yeah, the family is such a beautiful opportunity. I have to say, one, because we're so habituated in our relationships with family, we can find extra charge, I think. Also, heart pulls as well with family. So, a really extraordinary opportunity. And sometimes too much. And so, if it feels overwhelming, it may not yet be quite time. You may have to stay in offering kindness to the more neutral arising objects. Sometimes, the truth is, strangers can be easier than family because we don't come with all of the storyline, all of the pain and fear and the conditioning there. So see what you can do. But know that I think that's always somewhat advanced practice, especially a wedding or a funeral. I think particularly challenging. Yeah. So be kind to yourself as you try for that. And remember to always include yourself. That's good practice. And then sometimes for me, maybe the moments of difficulty, struggle, grief, sadness, just yourself for a time. And that is also good and appropriate because then it will grow something in its time, not only for you, but that expansion that we talked about, which is, may I then, when it's time, feel for others just like me who know this difficulty, who know this pain too. All right, everyone, let's say our aspiration prayer. If there aren't any other comments, and we'll end. And I've got the sun now fully from the east, radiating down on me. Blessings, blessings to that sun warming us. May I be a guard for those who need protection, a guide for those on a boat, a raft, a bridge, for those who wish to cross the flood. May I be a lamp in the darkness, a resting place for the weary, a healing medicine for all who are sick, a vase of plenty, a tree of miracles, and for the boundless multitudes of living beings, past, present, and future. May I bring sustenance and awakening, enduring like the earth and the sky, until all beings are freed from sorrow and all are awakened. May we all have peace. Let there be peace. May I be peace. So be it. Blessings and thanks to each of you. Thank you for joining for this practice today. It is my wholehearted wish that you will work to continue this practice in whatever it is you're doing. You'll forget like I do, but we can always then just begin again and remember. So I look forward to that. I look forward to seeing you. I know Janine will be here on Friday for sound healing and sound bath. Very excited. Liz will be here, I know for sure, on Friday and Saturday. And Lynn has asked me to remind everybody that there is Fill-A-Belly in 2 weeks, or close to 2 weeks, yes. And that please sign up. All right, everyone, I'll look forward to seeing you soon, hopefully. Be well, everyone. Take care.
Thank you. Be well, everyone. Thank you for the support of the Shanga.
Always.
Always.